Today's set features the brightest star in all of the Star Wars. It is, of course, R2-D2.
Hey, this box is so big, no one's gonna be able to see me.
That was intentional. Hello space boys and girls, I'm Josh, this is Josh Build Stuff, and today me and my new friend are just hanging out, having a ball, and I'm not talking about BB-8. Today we're talking about R2-D2. This set just came out at the beginning of May in 2021 for May 4th, 2021. This set cost a whopping $200 here in the US and contains a whopping 2,314 pieces, and if you hadn't guessed it already, this is another 18 plus set from LEGO. I'm a big fan of this LEGO set, and I'm a big fan of R2-D2 as a character. This little droid can and has done it all. He's a walking, rolling, flying droid who literally saved the Republic, the Rebellion, and the Resistance countless times. He's waterproof, sandproof, and space-proof. It seems like the only thing that can stop this little droid is a Jawa with a taser, or maybe a restraining bolt. Or maybe a cantina bartender who's like, we don't serve their kind here, your droids will have to wait outside. Or maybe a very tall set of stairs will stop him, assuming this is R2-D2 in the original trilogy after he has inexplicably lost his jetpacks. But those are all details about the character itself. What about the LEGO set of the character? Well, in my opinion, LEGO did a really great job depicting this character in LEGO form. Is it worth $200? That's a harder question to answer, but I will attempt to do so by telling you about all the cool features and details included in this set right after we build it. The build for this set was surprisingly a lot of fun and actually made that price tag well worth it because it was a really fun and engaging build. The first 3 or 4 bags of this build are really more of a Technic set than a traditional LEGO set because you're building a bunch of internal mechanics and the body of this thing itself before the outer plates actually get slapped on top of it. And that Technic bit was seriously complicated, and then you almost spend as much time building the feet of this droid and like the accessories to the legs of this droid as you do the rest of them. It's weird. When you look at this build as a finished product, you assume that you're going to be building a big LEGO cylinder, and really the build is nothing like that. Like I said, you build a Technic base, you build some pieces to slap onto some extra leg bits on the outside, and then you build kind of these face plates, or I guess they're more body plates that stick to the outside of R2-D2, and then you construct the head of this droid, which is actually a lot of fun. It's always fun to see LEGO trying to do some very interesting build techniques to build interesting shapes like the dome of R2-D2's head. Overall, it's a really fun build, though you do have to pay attention to it to make sure you don't mess up any of those technical elements, and it's fun to see those technical play features kind of come out while you're in the middle of building the thing. Overall, this is a really great build experience. I'm looking at this droid and I'm thinking back to this character's long and storied history across, 9 movies, 50 some odd years, and I'm really resisting the urge to ask a lot of questions that don't necessarily need answers, like where did his jetpacks go over that period of time, and how did this droid go from single-handedly taking on several super battle droids to eventually becoming a glorified rolling drink cart for Jabba the Hutt? And I'm not going to try to answer those questions today. Instead, let's just talk about LEGO's portrayal of that droid. Like I said before, LEGO, I think, did a great job on this build, and I had a lot of fun with the build itself. I think the set displays really nicely, it looks really great on a shelf, and I know what you're probably thinking, hey, didn't LEGO already make a UCS R2-D2 in about this same scale back in 2012? Sure, they did. It looks very similar to this, even has some very similar play features to this. I do not have that set. If you do own that set, it's probably not worth it to get this one. Why did LEGO remake a set from less than 10 years ago at this point? Well, of course, it is the 50th anniversary of Lucasfilm, not of a Star Wars movie or anything else, just the 50th anniversary of Lucasfilm, I guess, being established as a company. It kind of seems like LEGO is grasping at straws there, trying to find some anniversary occasion instead of just saying, hey, we re-released the set, because there's probably a lot of people out there who didn't get that old one that we could now sell this set to. In terms of playability, this set unfortunately doesn't score very high, but that's okay because I don't think the audience that LEGO was shooting for with this set is necessarily looking for a lot of playability. What this set does have is interactability, or interactive features as I would call them, because I'm not going to let my kids necessarily touch this set too much or play with it, though he does feel sturdy and stable and I have no problem picking him up and shaking him around. I'm not worried he's going to fall apart. That is largely due to that Technic base that this whole thing is built around, so the entire build is very sturdy. But like I said, I don't think kids will care very much to play with this set, but he does have some interactability. My favorite part is that he can deploy that third leg of his, and he can be posed in either a straight standing position or a simulated rolling position. He's not on wheels, he doesn't actually roll, but you can deploy that third leg by pushing his body forward, and then the instructions kind of show you lifting him up and setting him back down. That kind of gets the whole thing to sit a little more stably on his newly deployed leg there, and I think the effect is very well achieved, and the internal Technic elements necessary to get that third leg mechanics to deploy using that pushing motion, they're really cool, but also really complicated in that initial build. Showing that same motion here in person at the expense of some sound quality, it looks like this. Ah, see? And then he's sitting nicely in what looks like a rolling position. Other play features on the body, he's got a couple of little compartments that open up, as would be accurate to the character, I suppose. There's a couple of little push pins in the back that let some of those front compartments get pushed open. I'm not crazy about the look of those pins when they're extended, but those could probably be easily enough removed if you really wanted to. When you push those little pins, you get two little doors opening on the front of R2-D2, and they deploy a couple of little, I don't know, utility claw pokey things that would come out of this droid. You can also swivel open a couple of these blue pieces on R2's body. I assume at least one of these shoots out oil slicks that R2 can light a flame. One of these probably shoots out some spike strips to evade pursuers, and I'm sure somewhere along here R2 can shoot out a turtle shell and defeat Baby Bowser's Mario Kart. I'm not very well versed in that kind of thing. You'll have to ask Bricks O'Brien about all of that. My favorite interactive features of this droid are mostly hidden within his head, which looks nice and does swivel, by the way, which is a nice feature, if you could call it a feature. He has a little R2 periscope, which we see in a couple of the movies. I think that's nice that it was included here. And then my favorite feature is that there is a hidden compartment in R2's head that you can open one corner of and see a little version of Luke's Return of the Jedi lightsaber stashed away as if you were on Jabba's sail barge. Speaking of, the real mock or modification I would love to see that could be attached to this droid would be the little drink cart carrier that could sit on top of this droid. That's something that I would pay extra for. So other than those play features, this is going to be a display set. I don't think anyone was buying this with the intention of playing around with it. You don't get any minifigures. You do get, I guess, an R2-D2 minifigure. Not everyone calls those minifigures, but again, that's just going to be displayed, and anyone who buys any LEGO Star Wars sets probably has a dozen of those lying around anyway. But as a display set, I think this LEGO set looks really great. Obviously, not everyone wants to pay $200 for a 13-inch tall R2-D2. It's substantial. You will probably need a place to stick this fella, but I don't think many people who bought this thing with good expectations would be disappointed having received it. The details along the outside of this thing are great. I love the outside leg details, the body details. There's a little bit of asymmetry. R2-D2 is a complicated droid if you take a close look at him, and LEGO did a nice job here doing him justice. I kind of hesitated there because I'm thinking about one of the big inaccuracies of this set, and that is that just his general shape is not 100% accurate to R2-D2, and that is kind of unavoidable. LEGO is not going to be able to make a perfectly round cylinder with all these details on it, or a perfectly domed head for R2's head. And it seems like LEGO, like I said before, LEGO is just constantly over and over again trying to make spheres and domes happen, and they're doing a great job. But again, my voice kind of hesitated there inadvertently because you're never going to get a perfect dome at this scale. I think LEGO did do a nice job. It is interesting where LEGO decided to make sloped pieces and where they decided to expose some studs. I think overall LEGO struck a decent balance with the headpiece. I do like the details of the little eyepiece and the little, I don't know, camera pieces that are along that head. Overall, LEGO did a nice enough job, in my opinion. But I want to know what your opinion is. I do think that some people will be on the fence about this set. There are probably plenty of LEGO Star Wars fans out there who are just yelling, give us the UCS Republic gunship, and trust me, I am as excited as you are for that set. This set, I think, is kind of speaking to a different audience, but I don't think that audience will be quite as large as that UCS gunship shouting audience. So let me know what you think about this set. Let me know if you think this guy is worth $200 just to have sitting on a shelf somewhere, or if you think he's worth skipping out on in favor of whatever the next UCS Star Wars set is that we'll get this summer. So as always, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and in the words of R2-D2, beat bloop, beat bloop, which means like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.